Good morning, everybody. It's Dave Neal here, host of the Rush Hour podcast on this Hump Day, Wednesday, January 15th, 2025. And here are all the stories I've got for your Rush Hour ride to work. Coming up in this episode, Justin Baldoni continues his legal lap as he now claims Ryan Reynolds mocked him in Deadpool and plans on getting Disney involved. Also, a famous Hollywood actor pleads for more humanity as politicians continue to turn the SoCal fire tragedy into a political chess piece. And Jay Leno puts his money where his chin is and donates barbecue to first responders. I'll share what he had to say. Plus, Kelce shares a hilarious story about how she met her husband, Eagles legend and Taylor Swift's future brother-in-law, Jason Kelce, and a news crew captures the moment a fireman finds his wedding ring beneath the rubble of his family's home, and Caitlin Clark's stalker pleads guilty. Also, last-minute legislation may pause the TikTok ban. Will it survive another 9 months? Will it live another day? Who knows? It could be gone by the time you're watching this. All those stories and so much more all coming up next on The Rush. There's been a lot of tragedy in the news regarding the SoCal wildfires, but we've actually got a story with a little bit of a happy ending. This is from one of our audience members here at the Rush Hour podcast. I wanted to share it with you right now. In my DMs, I received this today. Hi, Dave. Just wanted to write a personal update from the fires. It has a happy ending. I'm just catching up on your Rush Hour from last week now, and I live in Pasadena with my partner right near Altadena, and we were evacuated last Wednesday at 4 a.m. from the house. We too have a giant tortoise. I just saw the segment on Tiptoe that you covered, and were panicked when we evacuated on Wednesday because our giant tortoise, Huckleberry, would not budge. We even snuck back at noon through back roads illegally to try again and get him, but he would not move. Now, at this point, I'm very glad she explained this has a happy ending because I'm already stressed out, even though I know how it ends. The fires were encroaching closer and closer to our house right near the Jet Propulsion Lab, and we were panicking about Huckleberry. I honestly couldn't even tell you how I'd feel if one of my animals or my loved ones was left behind. Absolutely horrifying. And so there it is. There's the scene. How bleak is that? The roads are, when the roads are empty in Pasadena or anywhere in Los Angeles, you know it's not good. And there's Huckleberry. So they had to leave Huckleberry, a 150-pound tortoise, 24 years old, born in 2001. And there he is. He wouldn't budge. They couldn't get him out. Come on. Can you imagine? You need like a forklift. Here they continue the story. We then called Pasadena Humane Society on Wednesday and asked if they could do something. They said they would try, but that they were overstretched and couldn't promise. Hours later, we got the call that they got him, Lord knows how. Here is a link of him at the Pasadena Humane Society on an Australian news channel. We were relieved to see via the news that he is still safe. Pasadena Humane was so overloaded with saving animals that we didn't want to bother them. Now, 6 days later, my house is still standing. Houses 2 blocks from mine are completely gone. People here have lost everything. This is our friend Katrina, who goes on to say how bad she feels that other people's lives, weren't as lucky as theirs. She says there is National Guard still guarding my house, but we found out we would be allowed to pick up Huckleberry today. So later on today, I am taking my minivan, rented a ramp from Home Depot, and we're going to pick up Huckleberry, the tortoise, and return him to my yard. It might be comical, it might be stressful, but there will be footage. We also have 3 dogs and 3 guinea pigs that we were able to easily move when evacuated. They are not going to go back home for several days still, and there is no gas in my home, so no heat. Just wanted to send all of this as a personal account from a member of your community, and also to please ask you to shout out the Pasadena Humane Society, though I'm sure you already have, which I'll see as I catch up on your podcast. Actually, no, I haven't. We haven't discussed really any of the animals being saved here because they have picked up thousands of animals, including exotic and wild animals in the area. They have risked their lives in some cases. Please let your listeners know how meaningfully heroic they have been during this time. Yeah, big shout out to any of the societies, including Pasadena Humane Society here, for the work that they're doing. When everyone's fleeing away from the fire, they're running to it here to help people get their loved ones. And here, my friends, is the breaking news update. They got Huckleberry. There he is. A young 24-year-old Huckleberry, 150 pounds, and how good is that to see? We love to report. Here's the video. I got a copy of the video. So I guess the ramps weren't working out. They just had to carry him. Oh, credit to whoever's lifting him right now. Lift with your legs, not your back.
Uh-oh.
So there's Huckleberry. Huckleberry doesn't know what the heck's going on, but they got him. He's secured. Everyone's excited. And there's the photo of Huckleberry heading home. Now, every story isn't as happy of an ending, but boy, are we happy to see that we can share some good news to start this day. Doesn't that sound pretty good? Now, Pasadena Humane Society does have a social media, Instagram. I'll post a link below if you want to donate, of course, if you can. There's going to be so many different places we can try to donate to. I'll have more on the wildfire news in a few minutes, but let's go to this. We shared this a couple days ago. Carrie Underwood made a statement saying that she's going to perform at Donald Trump's inauguration. And of course, that's going to receive backlash because no one's happy about anything anymore. And I get it. I understand everything and every brand is tied to political ideology. I don't blame you. She said she wanted to bring the country together. The View isn't buying it. Here's what The View had to say.
Right now, I wouldn't do it, even though I can't sing.
You would not sing?
No, I would not. I would not normalize him. And she says, I love our country. How do you love your country and support and normalize somebody who was a convicted felon who really wants to destroy the country, in my opinion? I don't understand how you say you love your country at the same time as you normalize this convicted felon, which I can say now every day.
A lot of my family voted for Trump. They love the country and vote for him. I think that people make these decisions for a lot of reasons.
Okay, fine. And I would not be the person to say don't do it because I believe in free speech and everything about it. I personally would not do it.
So there it is. Well, listen, nobody asked you. You don't have a good voice, I'm guessing. But either way, they're not the only people that are up in arms. They're calling it Carrie Chaos. Carrie Underwood. Did I say Carrie Underwood or Cassie Underwood? Carrie Underwood. American Idol producers not happy. Carrie Underwood will perform at inauguration and fear viewers will boycott the show. The Idol insider reveals if Carrie's role on the show will be impacted by her divisive announcement. It is a wild world that it's divisive that you announce you're going to be performing at the inauguration of the president. Look, I didn't vote for the guy, but love it or hate it, he's the next president of the United States of America. And unlike Trump, who wouldn't go to Biden's inauguration, I know Biden will be going to Trump's inauguration. And that doesn't normalize it. It's just the chips were dealt. It's the popular vote, and it is how everything fell. And if you don't like it, get a candidate that can, win the next election. What else do you want? I mean, what else can you say, really, is continue to fight for whatever rights you want out there. All right, let's move it on. So here we have a Starbucks making a real bold announcement. They're ending their bathroom open door policy, which, by the way, I've lived in major cities for the last 20 years, so they never had an open door policy. There's always been a code. I don't know what bathroom they're going to. Some Starbucks don't have a code. That's how you know you live in a nice neighborhood.
If you plan to hang out at Starbucks, you'd better bring your wallet along with your laptop. The coffee giant is putting a lid on its open door policy. Starting January 27th, you'll have to buy something if you want to sit at a table or use the restroom. Starbucks sales have been sagging in recent years, and the new rules are meant to prioritize paying customers.
Is this a real news story? I thought that was always the rule. You want to sit somewhere, you got to buy something, no? I always thought that when I lived in New York City, guys, anyone who's lived in New York City, the effort you got to go through to go find a bathroom, oh my gosh. I literally had a gym membership just so I could have a place to go to the bathroom because every place is guarded. They give you this big wooden spoon with an old clanky key attached to it. You got to buy something everywhere you go. It's like, I just need to use a bathroom. Next thing you know, I'm just buying bagels and stuff. All right, but either way, there they are. Here's your update on TikTok. Breaking news, Senator Markey and here it is, Ro Khanna are introducing a bill to pause the TikTok ban for 270 days. I have no idea if there's any legitimacy to this. Of course, the Supreme Court upheld the decision to ban TikTok, and folks don't really know when or where it's going to go.
Breaking news. Senator Ed Markey and I are introducing legislation to put a pause for 270 days on the TikTok ban. I'm here outside the Supreme Court. I'm hoping the court will uphold the free speech of 170 million Americans. But we need, at the very least, to pass the Markey-Khanna bill so TikTok will not be banned for 270 days. We need President Biden and President-elect Trump to pause the ban.
Now, of course, Trump doesn't want TikTok banned because he found out that he's does pretty good on social media. And he's like, I like it. You guys like me, I like you. That's really all you need to get in Trump's good favor is if he finds out you like him, well, I'm going to love that son of a gun. And that's probably why every single media company and social media is bending the knee. All right, I'm going to be back with a Kelce love story. How Kylie Kelce, and by the way, if your name's Kylie and you marry a guy with the last name Kelce, I mean, is that not a slam dunk? How Kylie Kelce began dating Jason Kelce. I'll have that story for you next. Well, the two power couples out there, right? It's Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, and then the other one, possibly even more charming couple, it's Kylie Kelce and Jason Kelce, Travis Kelce's older brother. Well, Kylie Kelce has a new hit podcast, and she joined Sunday Sports Club to talk about how she actually met her husband and father of her multiple children here on the show. Have a listen.
Met Jason on Tinder while I was still in college, which was hilarious.
Not Tinder.
And he would come to campus. He stayed over in my dorm more than once.
Okay, wait.
And
was he playing for the Eagles at that time?
yes.
And he's just
Which-
fully...
Like, when I tell you, I would have people in class 2 days later say, oh, so-and-so was talking about how they were walking to their 8 a.m. and saw Jason Kelce walking across campus to go to his truck. And I was just like, oh, God, this man must really love me because why the hell else?
I mean, hey, the things you'll do for love, a walk of shame, a stride of pride. He's a pro football player and he's got a lady he's courting and now they got a bunch of kids. I actually love the story. So it's no surprise why she and her husband are both crushing it in the podcast game. Who would have thought that Jason Kelce would have become more famous after retiring from football? He's probably the most famous lineman of all time at this point, right? All right, let's go to some fire news. I've got an update from Jay Leno, and here's Michael Douglas, and he makes a bold political statement about the LA wildfire aid. Have a listen.
We're off to a pretty rough start for this new year. This is just a nightmare tragedy beyond anything that I could have comprehended or probably anybody else. This is not a question of blue states or red states, Republicans or Democrats. This is humanitarian, and this is really, really a major crisis. I know some people talk about the movie stars that have lost their homes, but a hell of a lot of other people have too. People that work in the industries, who just make an hourly wage, that have lost their homes and possibly don't have any insurance. So,
of course, he makes a plea here to say, don't make it political. And I actually got a DM from someone today who said, hey, Dave, what about the hurricane? What about the people of the Carolinas? And my response to that was, are they not receiving federal aid? Like, I don't even know. I'd love more education on that. I'm all for federal aid going to any natural disaster. That's why when we talk about natural disasters, we don't make it political because they can happen to anybody, anywhere. Tornadoes, hurricanes on the coast, global warming, earthquakes. These things can happen to anyone here, and that's why we pay the tax money so that we can be provided that sort of protection if in fact, we're the ones, like I said before, my town had a bad tornado before I lived here. We battled, crazy, wildfires and earthquakes, and you just need to be there to provide for each other and not check on whether or not they're Republican or Democrat. Here's Jay Leno providing for other. He feeds LA's first responders. He says they're great men and women. And Jay Leno, look, he's a man of the people. Here's what he had to say.
What motivated you to say, this is what I'm going to do, when you could have done a million different things? You could have just worried about what might happen to you. You could have just worried about your friends. What made you decide to do something this big?
Well, I know I've always liked LA Fire and Police. I've always done the police benefits and the fire benefits. I love doing them. They're great men and women, just the nicest people. And they're really there to save your life. I know some people might have a problem. Anytime I had a problem, the police saved me. They were there at the right time. The alarm goes off. They show up. Same thing with fire department. I was down there and I said, everybody's got box lunches, which are nice. But I thought, well, so we were out and we bought about $21,000 worth of ribs and chicken and everything. Let's start cooking it up for the guys and give them a hot meal. My God, these guys can eat. They went through the whole thing, and it's like, we need more food. So we got more food today. We got more food tomorrow. More food Thursday. But it is a brilliant military operation. I was at Bagram Air Force Base. We're doing USO shows and things over there. This is exactly like that. This really is the best fire department in the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's just absolutely wild what they're doing. And, I'm going to share a conspiracy theorist, saying, how are all these fires started? And we'll get into that in a minute. But it's just so heroic what not just the fire department and the police department and the natural, everyone's doing, but also the residents. Here's an Altadena resident, Felipe Carrillo. He's fighting to protect his home as fires continue to rage in LA County. He actually shared what he was doing to keep himself from catching on fire.
I caught on fire a couple of times.
You caught on fire?
Yes. And so what I started doing is every once in a while, I would just spray myself with the garden hose. Just soak myself with the garden hose and continue to fight.
He's since lost electricity and his water supply is run dry. But he's afraid if he leaves the evacuation area, he won't be allowed to return. So he's gathered up fire extinguishers and gardening tools to battle any future fires.
So if by chance an amber hits the house and starts, I'm going to give it my best.
I mean, good for him. Look, and people are sharing all of the different contraptions they have and speculating on what they can do to stop these things. And yeah, I mean, it's just like, I think in some of these zones, homes should come equipped, if they have pools or storage containers of water, come equipped with sprinkler systems. I mean, it sounds easier said than done, but it's a lot easier than having your home replaced. But either way, that's a conversation for another day. In the meantime, here's another happy story. Aaron Burnett out front posted this on their TikTok. Firefighter who lost his home finds his wedding ring in the ashes. Have a listen to this.
Looking for his wedding ring.
He's sifting through the ashes.
What's that?
And then his buddy just pulls it out of nowhere.
Let me see.
And he says, "Is that gold?" Of course, it's covered in ash. They can't really tell.
That's it. That's it.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
And then they cheer that they found it. They find his wedding ring in the middle of ash. This is just amazing.
Yeah, baby.
Wow.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And this is a member.
what's your wife?
This is a member of the, I believe, I'm not sure which firefighter this is, but the Pasadena fire. He's a Pasadena firefighter. And then Aaron asks him, "What did your wife have? What's your wife going to say about this?"
Tim, what's your wife gonna say?
She didn't know. Man.
Oh, you hadn't told her? You didn't tell her you lost it?
By the way, is this not the most relatable thing ever? If I ever lost my wedding ring, I'm never telling my wife. I'm going somewhere and I'm buying a replica and I'm going to dusty it up so she doesn't know. Because if you tell her you lost it, well, you're going to lose your ring again? You don't need to do that. So this man knows what he's doing. He's like, you know what? I'm not going to tell her. I take my ring off at night. Next thing you know, we're evacuated. I'm going to go back to the dust bowl. I'm going to search through the embers and I'm going to find that stupid ring. And he's like, I still got it. And then she's going to see it on TV. You lost your ring? And he's going to be like, no, I put it there. They knew where it was. It was all for fun. We didn't lose it at all. Okay, coming up next, we've got Justin Baldoni and what he's saying to Disney about possible lawsuits coming up. Justin Baldoni tells Disney and Marvel to keep their receipts. He says, Ryan Reynolds mocked me on screen. Now, this is kind of like the Streisand effect, if you ask me. This is, it's a stretch. This is a stretch as far as the lawsuits that they have. He claims that Ryan Reynolds mocked him, and maybe he did, in a scene where Ryan Reynolds was playing Nice Pool, a feminist, and apparently that was an ode to Justin Baldoni. But again, it's like, how are they going to know this? How are they going to prove this? There's lots of making fun of male feminists in Hollywood. It's kind of like it's kind of hack if you ask me. But either way, I don't know. It's interesting. So they're getting Disney involved and Marvel. Again, I don't have too much to report right now other than they're telling them, hey, don't get rid of any of the evidence. So, I mean, will there be notes? Will there be notes from Ryan Reynolds? I mean, maybe they know something we don't. The letter demands the studio keep all documents related to or reflecting a deliberate attempt to mock, harass, ridicule, intimidate, or bully Baldoni through the character of Nice Pool. If they did this, if it was an inside joke where they were making fun of him. Like no one, that as far as I knew, attributed it to Justin. But Justin, like many actors and celebrities out there, has main character energy. And you assume, oh, that's about me. And again, maybe it is. But now we're talking about it, and it's definitely about you. All right, Caitlin Clark, sadly, you got a stalker. And he actually appeared in court and said guilty as charged. So here's what he had to say. Michael Lewis, the man accused of stalking Caitlin Clark, appeared in court on Tuesday, immediately made waves. Here's what he had to say. Have a listen.
Mr. Lewis? Guilty. No.
So I don't know if you could hear, but he said, guilty as charged. And it's very creepy because this man was accused of a lot of wild stuff. And he was saying, I'm going to be sitting right behind you. And I've been driving around your neighborhood. I mean, real creepy stuff. Here's what the judge had to say.
December 16th, 2024 and January 11th of 2025, Michael Thomas Lewis Jr. did stalk another person, to which Caitlin Clark, by engaging in a knowing or intentional course of conduct involving repeated or continued harassment of Caitlin Clark that would cause a reasonable person to feel terrorized, frightened, intimidated, or threatened.
And she should. She should feel all of those things. And there's no telling what somebody might do to somebody else if they're a fanatic, and especially if they have mental health issues, which it appears like this man might have. So again, we'll have to see what comes of that story. But as far as conspiracy theorists are concerned, my next update is going to be sort of a very practical response to those of our friends, and we all have them out there, that want to make a bigger story out of something that's more obviously not a big story. I'll have that for you next. So there's a lot of people out there that don't quite understand how wildfires work. And they say, oh, this has to be human made. This isn't because of climate change. And one doesn't have to be true versus the other. They both can be true. Have a listen to this response by Climate Diva to the idea that this is not a climate issue.
Call me a conspiracy theorist, but there is no way that 8 different fires starting within a period of 48 hours in LA is due to climate change.
Hi, my name is Summer and I'm your local science communicator. The intensity of the fires in LA is unbelievable, so I understand it's a lot easier to believe that the fires were this bad because of some evil entity. But before you go there, let's learn some basic environmental science. There are 4 factors at play that made these fires uniquely intense. Problem number 1 is invasive species. The plants that are native to Southern California, like sage, buckwheat, and more, have evolved alongside fire for thousands of years. Chaparral landscape, which is the type of landscape that these fires tore through in LA, is very fire resistant. Many of the native plants here are drought tolerant, and some of them even need fire on a regular basis in order to regenerate. Indigenous people know this and have always known this. Invasive species, however, did not evolve with this landscape, so they are not equipped to be fire resistant. This is the eucalyptus tree, an invasive species that you see everywhere in LA. My street is lined with them. Eucalyptus came to LA during European colonization, and they are highly, highly flammable. Many types of invasive species in LA are perennials, meaning that they die every year, so they create tons of ground litter across the landscape. These dry, dead, invasive plant species covering the ground are the biggest source of fuel for wildfires. Problem number 2 is chaotic rainfall patterns, and yes, this is caused by climate change. The water year in LA starts on October 1st. Now, Los Angeles doesn't get a lot of rain, but on average from October to January, we'll get about 5 inches of rain. This year, however, LA had no rain, not even a single 1/10 of an inch. Last year, LA had record rainfall and flooding. Climate scientists call this weather whiplash, and it's one of the biggest observable effects of climate change. Problem number 3 is that this was not just a fire, this was a hurricane fire remix. The Santa Ana winds were gusting at over 100 miles per hour, which is hurricane force level winds. So there was just no way that firefighters could get those flames under control fast enough. At one point, the fire was growing at a rate of 5 football fields per minute. Firefighters had to create a new level of measurement to even track how fast these fires were growing. And yes, this also has to do with the climate crisis. Scientists are finding that the climate crisis could be changing the patterns of the Santa Ana winds, mainly due to the destabilization of the jet stream, which is this huge river of air that moves weather patterns all around the globe. There are numerous studies that show how the climate crisis is destabilizing the jet stream, which is horribly scary for so many other reasons. Problem number 4 is the wildland-urban interface. We are not planning our cities with respect for the land and the earth. For so long, humans have thought that we can dominate nature, and we just can't. With the rising populations of big cities on the West Coast, developers started building houses on historic lands that have always experienced wildfires on a regular basis. There's a name for this type of development, and it's called the wildland-urban interface.
WUI, right? So anyhow, I mean, great stuff, right? I just learned more than the 10 years I lived in LA. And one of the problems is with all the rainfall they got last year, that all led to more plant and vegetation growth that then dried out and caught on fire. So, rather than just saying, isn't it odd that there's 8 fires going on? Look at the cause and the fact that, this fire might have started by fireworks. Sometimes a spark comes out from a telephone pole going down in the winds. That can start the fire, or an arsonist. So it can be a whole bunch of different things. The fact is that how easy it is for the fires to spread in these conditions. That's what's scary. Either way, I think we got enough fire coverage for the day. Here's a good way to end. On the Today Show, they shared yesterday, the most amazing thing you can do for yourself is to be kind to yourself. Your greatest enemy is the enemy within. No one talks to you as badly as you talk to yourself. Chances are. I know with me, I'm my biggest bully. I'm always, trying to stop myself from sort of that negative talk where I just want better and more. And it's like, all right, have patience. Be kind to the self. Have a listen to this.
The most amazing thing you can do for yourself is be kind to yourself. And affirmations are the best way to be kind to yourself. They are rewriting your nervous system and the stories that you tell yourself about yourself. So when that negativity train rolls up and you get on, it says all aboard the imposter syndrome train. That affirmation will blare over the loudspeaker and say, girl, get off that train. You belong here.
Amazing. You belong here. And my favorite affirmation I love to share, and I'll start the day off this way, is I am enough, I have enough, and I want to share it. So that's what I'm doing right now, sharing it. Some days are better than others, but I give you my best. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment if you're on YouTube. Hit the like button and share with friends. That helps the algorithm. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you this afternoon. Oh, by the way, 11 a.m. today, we have a very special live stream on YouTube. We're going to be going over financial information regarding the Clayton Echard Laura Owens trial. It's going to be very fascinating. 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We'll see you then.